Hi, everybody. My name is Avilda. I own and operate Honeybee Arts LLC, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Every year, I think maybe for the last 3 or 4 years now, I've been able to work with NAMI and volunteer as a face painter during the NAMI Walk. And so today, I'm happy to be here with you all to present this creative workshop. Okay, so we're going to do some art together. And as you all know, we're using a program called Sketchpad, which my daughter actually told me about. She's also an artist. She's 13, and she likes to play around with this. So she told me about this program, and I started to fiddle with it. I teach my students this program as well. And so we're going to use it to be coloring a few pages together, okay? And so this session is going to focus on overall wellness. So just going through the things that help us feel good, help to lift our spirits when we're down. And I think this is the perfect time to have this conversation and to do this activity with you all. So I'm going to begin by logging in here. So this is the home page. You can select whichever language is most comfortable for you so that you can read the commands. I'm going to select English. And I'm going to show you how to upload your coloring pages. Okay, so we're going to start with the puppy. All right, so what I did was I created 3 coloring pages for you all. Let me press cancel here. I created 3 coloring pages, and we're going to talk about them together. We're going to color them together, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. Okay, so I'm going to show you this little panel on this side here. Okay, it's a little arrow at the top. And I'm going to go to the smiley face. And when I hover over that button, it says clip art. So I'm going to click on that. And then I click on load your own image. And this is where I can bring in my coloring pages. So we're going to start with the puppy today. Okay. So here's our sleeping puppy. And we're going to begin coloring him in, okay, or her in. So at the bottom here, there's a little paint bucket, right? And when I hover over it, it says vector fill, right? Big words there. So we're just going to click on it. And we're going to go to this little arrow up here, click on that, and we're going to select pixel fill, okay? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on fill for our color, okay? So click on this here. We click on this first square for all of our solid colors. And then you can choose whatever color you'd like to begin with for your puppy, okay? And so I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go to maybe the browns here, maybe a little brown puppy like this. I'm going to add a little bit more red, so you can play around with the colors here. And when you get a color that you like, you click on fill, okay? And you make sure this little button is on, so it shouldn't be off, it should be on. And you can go over to your puppy, and what you do is you double click. Okay, and when we double click, we get to fill in that area, that little space here, okay, just like this. And so the reason why I chose a puppy is because puppies help us to feel happy, right? They give us company, so they help us be social. They're very affectionate. We can give them hugs. They're furry. They're so cute. We play with them. And so unfortunately, I never had a puppy, but I had goldfish, you know? So I can remember when I was a child, I would see the goldfish in the tank, and it was just exciting for me to just look at them, right? My mom decorated the tank, and it was just exciting for me. So it's something that can lift your spirits. So having a pet definitely helps if you're ever feeling down. It can help with your overall wellness. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to color in his nose. Oh, 1 second. Let's go back to brown. I want to make sure his tail is still brown. Okay. All right. Now, once I finish coloring an area in, I'm going to click on this little arrow here and just click anywhere in an empty space, okay? If we don't do that, we'll change the color again, and we want to move on to the next shape. So I'm just going to click in this empty space. I'm going to go back to my paint bucket, and now I'm going to choose a new color. And I'm going to choose, I guess, black for the nose, okay? And I'm going to double click here on the space for the nose. Okay, so our puppy is coming together now. And let's see, so I'm gonna click on that arrow again, click on an empty space, go back to my paint bucket, and let's work on the pillow. I think I'll come back to the rest of the spots on the puppy. So I think I want my pillow to be, let's do orange. Yeah, let's try orange. So I'd like you to get creative with this. Choose whatever colors you like, okay? They don't even have to match today. This is just about feeling good, okay? And let's see, go to a lighter color, fill this in, and all these little shapes here, let's see, we can fill those in by double tapping, okay? So I'm gonna double click here, and if it's hard for you to see, there's a little magnifying glass on the side, so you can click on that, and you can move this bar up, and we can zoom in, okay? So those little areas that are a little bit more difficult to color in, we can see those more clearly now, okay? And then I'm gonna go back to these spots here. Maybe a light tan. I'm gonna double click. Uh-oh, hold on. Got to go back to my arrow, click on the empty space, okay? So if you ever wanna change the color, you can do that. You just select a new color, click on fill, and then double click on that space, okay? And so if you ever want to create your own drawings and you want to bring them into Sketchpad, you can do that. So you can draw a picture and you can have your mom or dad take a picture, and then we can upload it the same way that I did, and you can color in your own pictures here if you don't have crayons or markers or paintbrushes, okay? And so let's go ahead and paint the background, maybe a nice sunny yellow, something nice and bright. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, okay? I think I want a little bit more contrast. So contrast is just the difference between two colors, right? And if there's colors that are high in contrast, they're really different. If they're low in contrast, they're really similar. So because this brown and this orange, they're very similar, I'm gonna go ahead and change the color of my pillow. So I'm gonna make my pillow red. Let's see, double click here. There we go. And now we have a little bit more contrast. Okay, so you can get creative with this. And, oh, can't forget this spot by his ear. Okay, here. You can get really creative with this and complete your drawing, okay? So now I want to talk about doing things that we enjoy, okay? Kind of like what we're doing right now. I love art. I teach children and adults all the time. And so I want to talk about painting a little bit, okay? So I'm going to go to this little plus sign, and I'm going to click on blank, and we're going to press create, and that just gives us a brand new sheet to work with here, okay? And so I'm going to click on the little smiley face again, and I'm going to click on load your own image one more time. And now I'm going to open up the second coloring page, okay? And so we can talk about hobbies for a little bit. So some things that make us feel better might be swimming, it might be doing some kind of sports, right? Bicycling, it could be cooking, right? And many of us enjoy art, okay? So this here is a picture of, I guess, a magical paintbrush, okay? And we're painting this paper here, and we have a bottle of red paint, and now it's time for us to have some fun coloring this in, okay? So I'm going to go over here to my paint bucket, and remember, this should be on pixel fill, right? Not vector fill. We want pixel fill. And I have red here already selected, and I'm going to go ahead and begin painting. I'm going to begin filling in my paintbrush, okay? So let's start with the paint here. That's where I'd like to start. You can start wherever you like. There we go. Okay. So again, once you double click, you can fill in those shapes. Okay, just like that. We also have this red bottle. All right, so I'm gonna maybe fill it in like this. You can fill in the individual letters. Okay. And then we can begin working on our paintbrush together. So I'm going to go to my arrow. I'm going to click on an empty space. And here we go. So I'm going to choose a color for the wood. Okay. So I think a nice brown would work. Let's go over to this orange color. And then we can move this little circle around. You see what's happening here? We can move this circle around and choose different colors here. Okay. So I'm going to choose this tan color. I'm going to click on fill, and then I'm going to double click here. And I think I like that color there. And so I want to add a little bit of a shadow on the side. So I'm going to select a brown that's slightly darker. Okay, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to double click here. Again, if you're having trouble seeing, you can zoom in. Okay. And fill those spaces. There we go. Double click. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Actually, let's fill this first. There we go. Zoom all the way out. So I'm really used to sort of having a dialogue when I teach. So this is an adjustment, because I kind of want to know what colors you guys are using for the handles. If you're doing something like, purple, or, having fun with it, I would really like to know. I really hope you're enjoying this. And if you want to add some interesting things into your drawings, you could do that as well. So I'm going to show you a little something here. There's a little, the same button that we use to get our page on here, our coloring page. We can click on that, and we can go right here, and we can find clip art, right? So let's say I put the word paint. Let's see, paint brush. Let's see, splat. Let's see if splat. No, let's see. Red. Okay, I put in red so we can see a bunch of red things. Okay, so we have, let's try this red apple here. I have this red apple. So I just double clicked on the red apple, and now I can bring this into my artwork, right? So since we are coloring things in red here, you can even add an apple here. Add a little apple on the table. Okay, so if you want to add in some extra shapes, some extra elements, you're welcome to do that to get even more creative with this. Okay, I'm going to go back to coloring in my paintbrush. We've filled in the handle already, and now we want to fill in, oh, let me move this back. Now we want to go ahead and fill in this part of the brush. So this is called the ferrule, and that's the metal part of the brush, and it connects the handle to the bristles here. So that one is usually gray, like the silver. So I'm going to click on gray here, light gray, click on fill, and then we're going to double click here, just like that. And then I'm going to choose, let's see. You might hear a little voice in the background. That's my daughter. She's playing her game. So let's go to gray. Okay. So I just picked a darker gray. And now I'm going to use that for the sides of the ferrule. And then, let's move on to the bristles here. So now I'm going to use a tan color, but I want it to be different from the handle. So we're gonna go back to that orange. I'm gonna use a really pale tan. And I'm gonna click on that and go ahead and fill it in, okay? And then, so we've got our paintbrush here. I'm fine with leaving this part white because it almost looks like a highlight, like a glare of light on it. So we're gonna leave that as is. Let's start with, oh, let's do our cup of water, okay? So when we're painting, we need our paintbrush, we need our paint, we also need a cup of water, we also need a palette, right? Or we can use maybe a paper plate for a palette. So this is our cup of water here. I'm gonna click on blue, okay? Click on fill and double click here. And now we've filled our cup of water, all right? And let's see, we may leave the cup white. I don't know, let's see. You can get creative with it. I think I'm gonna leave it as it is. And I'm gonna go ahead to the shadows now. So these little shapes here, these are just the shadows underneath. So I'm gonna go back to fill, I'm gonna go back to that brown, and I'm gonna bring it all the way down, just like that. Click on fill, and then I'm gonna double click. Uh-oh, hold on, we went back to our blue. So remember, click on your arrow, and you're gonna have to click on a space, an empty space outside of your drawing so that you can deselect that. And then we're gonna go back to our paintbrush, go to fill. We're gonna select that orange again. I'm just gonna bring it all the way down like that. Click on fill, and then double click in there for the shadow. There we go, okay? And so now we can go ahead and, excuse me, we can go ahead and paint the table. Let's color in the table. I keep saying painting because I'm looking at the paintbrush. We can go ahead and color in the table now. So let's see. Let's try a purple table. I want to try a purple table. So here we go. I kind of like that. All right, so again, you're just going to double click and then you can fill in that entire area. And I'm going to use a slightly darker purple for the side of the table. Click on that and double click just like that. And I think I'm going to leave the paper, let's make it like an off-white. So I'm going to click on the empty space. And we're going to go back to our orange again so we can find that tan color, like an off-white, and double click on fill. And we'll go ahead and fill in the little gaps here in the paint. Okay. And we need a background here. Let's see how yellow feels, something nice and bright. Okay, so when we do things like this, we can take our minds off of anything that might be happening externally or in the outside world. We can kind of take a moment and get into a little zone, which is something called a flow state, but I won't get too complicated with it. But anyway, it does help us to focus. It helps us to feel better. And it can also be quite meditative, right? So I'm gonna click on that yellow. It's a pale yellow here. Let's do a brighter yellow. There we go. Select, paint bucket. Let's do a bright yellow here. There we go. Okay. And then once you're done, again, you can go ahead and play around with the clip art tab. You click on that little arrow and you can bring other objects in there if you like. Get creative. Let's see. Let's take a slice of watermelon and then maybe we'll take some cherries too and put it up there. So maybe we're having a little snack here while we're painting on our paper, right? Put this here. Okay, and notice there are different tones of red here too. I wish I can go into like a whole art lesson. So we're gonna take the watermelon. We're gonna click on the arrow again, click on an empty space, go back to clip art, click on that little arrow, and I'm gonna put red in one more time, and let's grab the cherry, okay? And we're gonna add a little cherry in there too. Okay. So we're having a nice healthy snack, okay? Which is another thing that can affect our moods. When we eat nice and healthy, we generally feel better. So we have some fruit here, right? Candy's okay once in a while, but we have nature's candy, okay? Something nice and sweet little snack here. And we have our apple. And we'll leave our apple here for now because I already painted around it. Okay. All right. And so I feel like I want to color in this cup, so I'm just going to do it anyway. Let's see. Um, maybe a pale green, like a minty color. Let's see. Yeah, I think that works. Make sure you color in the back of it too. I'm gonna go in and get a slightly darker green. So it looks like there's a little bit of a shadow. This is the inside of the cup and the light is coming from behind. And I think we're done with this page, okay? Let me go ahead and one more thing. Let's give this a red cap. Oops. There. Little red cap there for our paint bottle. All right, so we're all done with this coloring page. And so we're gonna move forward to the last one. Let me zoom out so you can see how that is, how that looks. Okay, and so we talked about things that help us to feel good, like hobbies, doing things that are active, doing things that help us to use our minds, right? And get into a zone, helps to lift our spirits so we feel better. So now we're going to talk about what I love, plants, okay? So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that little plus sign. I think I just did that, sorry. But you're going to click on the plus sign, make sure you're on a blank page, you click on create, and go back to that smiley face and load your own image again. All right, so you should have this down by now, right? You can really play around with this program afterward if you like. And I'm going to click on plant, and we have our plant coloring page. So before we get started on this one, I did make a little boo-boo, but I'm going to show you how to fix it. So we'll use this as a teachable moment as well. So let's say I want to color in. I'm going to choose green, and I want to color in my leaves here in the stem. And I double click on it. Okay, it's working here. Let's see. Let's double click on this one. Oh, you know what? It's not even happening here. But I will say this: if you're trying to color your plant in, and you click on, like, let's say you click here on this leaf, and the whole page in the background turns green, it's because, let me get rid of this so you can see. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. All right. So it's because there are these little openings here. Do you see how they don't go flush against the border here? So that was my little boo-boo. So if you do have any trouble coloring this page, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. You're going to go to this little icon here. So mine is a calligraphy tool, but yours might be something different. But it's the third tool from the top. So you have your arrow, you have this square, which is the crop tool, and then you have this one, right? It's your writing tool. So you can click on that little arrow, and then go to the pencil. Once you go to the pencil, I'd like you to click on the outline color and just click on gray, because that gray is going to be similar to the lines here, right? Do you see the little gray circle on my screen? It's pretty close to the gray that I used to draw the plant. So I'm going to double click on outline, that color, and I'm just going to go to this little knob here and bring that down. That's just the width of the line. I don't want the line too thick. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead, maybe a little bit smaller. Oops, a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to close that line, just like that. Okay, so I go from left to right and let go. So I'm clicking and then I let go. If you hold and scribble, it doesn't work too well. Hold on, undo. On this little thing. If you make a boo-boo, you can click on it and press backspace to delete it. So I'm gonna go back to my little pencil and I'm gonna color this in just like that. Color this in just to close that little open space. Okay, and then we're all set. So now I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, and let's bring this down. Uh-oh, these are still here. Together. Okay. So now we're ready to color in our plants. All right. So I love plants. This one that I drew is called a pothos. And if you can see behind me, I might be really tiny, but I have like lots of pothos plants behind me. They're very easy to take care of, and I don't quite have the green thumb yet, but I'm getting there. Okay. So I have a pothos here, and they're the ones that have the really long vines. I don't know if you can see. Well, mine is really, really grown, has lots of long vines, right? So gardening, whether it's indoor gardening or outdoor gardening, makes me feel really happy. It makes a lot of people feel really happy. I'm even like in a Facebook group with just people who love plants. It's a little crazy. So plants do make us, they help us to feel happy. The act of gardening and cultivating and putting our energy into something else to make it better also helps us to feel better, right? It helps with overall wellness. And so when we talk about plants and gardening, that also leads us back to food and having healthy diets, right? So for a period of time, I worked with, or I've kind of like volunteered with a friend of mine who was operating a farm right on Long Island. And so I got to see up close how they planted and harvested like zucchini and like cucumbers and the cabbage, all kinds of stuff. Tomatoes you can also grow indoors. But I think it's really fascinating just to be in the presence of something like that, like creating your own food and eating it and it being healthy and seeing it from seed to harvest. It's a beautiful thing. So eating healthy, gardening, keeping plants in the home. Also plants, they need sunlight just as much as we do. And that also contributes to overall wellness. So getting outside in the sun. So now we're gonna go ahead and paint. I keep saying painting. We're gonna go ahead and color in our pothos plant, okay? So I'm gonna click on the paint bucket and I'm already at green here. I have green selected and I'm gonna keep that one. So now we can go in and double click, right? Just double click in each of those leaves to fill it in, okay? You wanna get a little fancy, maybe the ones like this little sliver of the inside of the leaf, you can make it a slightly darker green so that it casts a little bit of a shadow. So I just made this green darker. Double click on fill, and then I'm going to double click in there. Okay, so it looks a little bit more realistic. So we have these dual colors going. So I'm going to double click in there. And here as well. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so now I think I'm going to make some of these a little bit lighter. I'm going to switch to my lighter green. There we go. Okay. And let's make this one a little bit darker. Click here, paint bucket, select our color. I want to make this that darker green again. And there we go. Okay, great. So now maybe we can go ahead and color in the flower pot here. So I think, let me go to my fill. Actually, remember we go back to the arrow, click on an empty space. If this happens, that means you just have to click it again. So if you click this, that display goes over to the side. You click it again, it opens up. And so we're going to click on the paint bucket, going to click on fill, and let's see, what color didn't I use? I think I used all. Let's try some blue here. I'm going to use a lighter blue. And I'm just going to double click to fill it in. Okay. And then I'm going to go for, let me go back to my arrow, click on an empty space, back to my paint bucket. I'm going to go for an even lighter blue. for the highlight. So that's going to be here. Oh, sorry, the highlights are here. Okay. And a highlight is just where the light shines the brightest on an object, so it reflects the light a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill those in as well. Then we're going to find the color for our soil. Bring this down to this brown. Oh, hold on. I forgot to deselect. So let me go back to my light blue. There we go. Let's find the right one. There we go. So we click on the arrow, click on the empty space again, back on our paint bucket, and then we're going to go back to that orange so that we can find a brown for the soil. And we double click on the fill. Double click in here, we have our soil now. Back to the arrow, empty space, paint bucket. Okay, now I want to change the background here, the background of the pot. I need a slightly darker blue. So we're going to fill this in here, and here, and here, and here. Okay, now we need a shadow. So this time I'm going to use maybe a dark gray for the shadow. And double click there and fill that in. Make sure you get the part of the shadow that's peeking here behind the leaf, okay? Or behind the stem rather. And now I'm gonna click on my arrow, click on an empty space, back to my paint bucket. And now I wanna start filling in the sun. So I have these circles here, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to start with maybe this yellow here. I like this one. And I'm going to fill the outer shape with that bright yellow. And then again, we click on an empty space, back to the paint bucket. And now I'm going to select a pale yellow. And I'll fill this ring and then the center ring with that one. And then I'm going to deselect one more time and go to, let's see, maybe this one, maybe an orange. Let's do like an orange. Let's see. Okay, I like the way that is. Okay. I think this one should be a yellow. Oops. Uh-oh. Hold on. Hold on. If that happens, oh, we undo. Oh no, I made a boo-boo. Uh-oh. Oh, let's see. There we go. So I've made a boo-boo and I pressed on my laptop, I pressed the control button and I held it down and I kept tapping Z to undo those steps so I can go backward, okay? So sorry about that, guys. Now we're gonna go ahead and color in the table. Select, go to fill. Let's do a red table this time. Double click here and fill this in. We have that done. And now for the background, I think I'm gonna leave the background white on this one. So I think we're all done. Okay, so we have our plant and we filled in our painting sheet and then also the pet, okay? So I hope that you guys had a fun time coloring with me. I hope that you learned how to use this program well, and if it's fun, I hope that you go ahead and try out some other features here. There's some shapes that you can create, right? All kinds of different shapes. So you can really play around with this, do some cool stuff, play around with the colors that are here, right? There's some really cool things with this program. So I hope you've had fun with this, and I wish you all the best. I hope these methods help you to stay nice and happy when you're feeling down, take your mind off of things, lift your spirits, and help you to smile, okay? So thanks so much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.